So I have my mega fuse here. I already built it, put the mega fuses in, got the jumper. So essentially, that's what it'll look like. And I did this so that I could put it on inner fender well, kind of like that. Then I could have the starter coming out on this side, the alternator coming out on the other. And then this one's going to have to go to the main fuse box. So actually thinking about it, I might do it like this. Set it sideways, like that, so that one can go to the starter. And then one can go to the alternator and the fuse box. But I was using this as a puller, and I was going to get or was I using that as a pusher? I guess a pusher. Then I'd be using the puller on the inside, because this had an electric fan setup when I was running it. And before, I had this one on the inside, but I put it on the outside because I was going to buy a new one, and never did. But we've got these bolts here for this fan shroud, and I'm willing to bet that this fan shroud will work on that Chevy, because we're not going to be using a fan on it. We're just going to use an electric fan, so it should work. And this engine does run, albeit very badly. This engine needs a complete rebuild. So this engine, sadly, when I started it the last time, I had a knock. The lifters were kind of clattery. Everything was clattering. The rings sounded like the rings were just gone. So, yeah, we have problems. We got to rebuild this engine. And what I might do with this engine, because I've been thinking about what to do with it. I like this engine. I've got a lot of money in it. I might take it out and put it in my Ventura. I don't know yet. There's nothing wrong with it, really. I mean, after it would be rebuilt. So, rebuild it, see what's wrong with it. Maybe it's busted, you know. Maybe one of the cylinders is really bad and we can't even use it. In that case, I'll just get a different 403, because I've got this aftermarket intake on it. This is the specific Edelbrock intake for a shaker. So you have to buy special stuff for Trans Ams if you're going to run shakers, and that is what that is. And this is a shame, because like these upper control arms and stuff look pretty decent. It's a shame, man. This thing drove like a dream. I mean, it rode down the road really good. So we'll get this off. I guess we'll just kind of eyeball it real quick. I'm thinking it's going to fit exactly the same, because that car is going to be off the road for a while, and this car is going to be running. So I could get the fan shroud from that car to hold the radiator in, get this car on the road, and then buy a new one, a new fan shroud for that car. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the same. This just has to be bent back up. So, yeah, I think they'll be the same. So no problem there. So we have the fan shroud and the radiator, which we'll install, and that one's a 4-core. Like I said, that radiator has 0 miles on it. That radiator has about 20 minutes of runtime on it, because I started this engine up. Here, we'll get over here. So I started this engine up, and I ran the engine for a total of about 20 minutes. And yeah, it's just, unfortunately, the engine's just not going to be one that I run. I did unhook the battery, so we'll take this battery out and we will repossess this battery, and we will run this battery more than likely, because these are side posts. So I just need to get the cables. And then this hood, we got to address this sooner better than later, because this right here is bad. You never want to see that. See, this is bad rust. See, that's really bad. You know, there's a difference between people saying surface rust and actual, you know, rust that's eating away at stuff. This is eating away at this. We want this gone. And then something like this right here is just surface rust. See that? That's just some surface rust. You can get that gone pretty quick. But that, yeah, that's bad. That's real rust. Eventually, this Corvette, I might sell it to my friend. My friend's been saying that he wants to buy it, so I might sell it to him. It's a 4-speed car, 74. Needs new carpet. Needs a little bit of interior work, but not a lot. And it needs now it needs new tires, because these tires I'm sure would go pretty fast. But the rear wheel bearing is what went out on it. And I've got the kit, and I started the job once. I even started to make a video on it, but I just don't want to do the job. I mean, it just sucks. Okay. If you hear anything, it sounds funny, it's just my dog. Dog's going crazy because I'm not in there, because I'm outside. Alright, so, got some stuff. Got these little zip ties. We're going to use this for underneath the dash. Tie up those wires. We might also use these to keep plug wires out of the way. I don't know yet. I have my gapper. See that? The gapper. So we're going to use this to check the gap on these. These are plugs for a 350 Chevy. Then I went to my parts shop. All they had was these type of gaskets for exhaust manifolds. I'm going to try to make them work for my headers. So we'll put them on. If they don't work, then they don't work. Then we have our stainless steel ARP fasteners here. And I've got this copper anti-seize for those. So I've actually never used this one. I had to buy this. I couldn't find my other stuff. Alright, they are all well within spec. So we're gonna go ahead and head on over there. Probably gonna put the gaskets in and then these fasteners down, and then we'll change them. I think that's probably the best way to do it. That way, if I have to push the header around in a fit of rage, I'm not going to break one of these. Because if I have to go and buy new ones, it'd be kind of annoying. So, and I always use AC Delco. You know, they're pretty standard. I mean, I'd always had good luck with them. So, all right, we got these on. They're all tightened down. So this header is on now. So, you know what? I need to tighten that a little more, actually. Yeah, we need to tighten it a little more in a couple spots, but it's on. So we'll do the plugs after we get the other header on. So we got one done. Well, went and hurt myself. I was trying to push the rest of that gasket in, and it was a little tight. And I pushed it, and my finger just sliced right on the edge of it. So we got a pretty good little finger cut here. You can see that there. That's a pretty good little cut. Might have to use super glue on that one. There is no going to the doctor. We don't do that around here. So we're gonna go ahead and finish up the job, because luckily I'm left-handed. Okay, we're gonna take these plugs out and replace them. I can't really use my right hand too much. I got some tape on it, but I can use these two fingers, so that'll work. But I'm left-handed, so I shouldn't have to use my right except for maybe 1 or 2 plugs. So we'll go ahead and get this job done here. And I forgot to get a fuel pump when I was in town. I forgot to get the starter bolts. What else did I forget? Forgot something else as well, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay. You can kind of see those over there. Got them all replaced but one on this side, and that's because got to replace that one from underneath. We got some stuff. Went and got a starter, and then I got plug wires, a filter, new fuel pump. So we'll keep our old starter as a backup, and we'll keep our old fuel pump as a backup. And we'll put the rest of this on. So I did get starter bolts. I had to buy them. Mine are missing. But once we get this in there, we won't have to worry about it. Fuel pump's on. Alright. This starter is just gonna... Decided not to put this on yet because I gotta put all the wires on here and everything. So I might wait to do that so that I don't have to take it back off again. But fuel pump's on. Now we got an extra one in case of in case we need it. We'll just put that in the back of the car in the trunk. Figure out the plug wires. Not going to do those just yet. And we got our oil filter. This one I'm just going to run on its first startup. So we'll use this for the first startup, and we'll run it a couple times. Then we'll drive the car probably up to about 30 miles away is the nearest town that's going to have really nice oil filters. It's going to have an O'Reilly's and everything, or an AutoZone, either way. And we'll go ahead and put this up because my local place doesn't have too many of a selection for oil filters, especially for older cars. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of this wiring today, and I'm going to mark where I'm going to put the mega fuse at, which is just going to be on the inside of the fender, on the fender well. So we'll just put that there. Then we might figure out the length that we need of the 6 gauge to our alternator. We want to leave a little extra space, but not a ton. And then we're definitely going to hook up this tack. There's the bat location and the tack, so we'll hook those up. And then the oil sending unit we're not going to hook up yet. The temp, we're not going to hook that up because I think I need a new one. I'm relatively certain that I don't have that on the engine. I think that's out. I think I just got something plugged in right there for now. The electric choke we will be using, but we're going to wait until we get the carb on for that. So we got our wires to our tack hooked up. What I'll do later is get some zip ties, tie these together, and then tie them up with these the wiper motor wires. And we'll probably go put some tape on them. But they are hooked up. And next, we've got just a handful of things left. You can see this here is all that's left. So we got the electric choke, which is this one, not being hooked up just yet. One of these is going to be our oil. This is our water temp. One of these, alternator. A blue one's our oil. Purple's our starter. And this is our 12-volt battery. So that's everything right there. Pretty much done. Gosh, not much left at all. I need the water temp sender. We need that. We need a new one because you can see it's actually plugged up. I got tape over it. So we need a new one. And once we get a new one, we'll hook that up. Then we'll go ahead and hook up and see how long this one to the starter needs to be. Then the one to the okay, so the one that goes to on a normal car, that just go to the starter, but we're going to the fuse box with this one. Alright, let's put the last one on. How in the world? Who made this? This ain't gonna reach. Nah, I'm just kidding. Alright, we got this one here. Last one. Okay, we got a new water neck right here. Came with the gasket. Looks like I already lined it up. It looks like it's gonna fit perfect. Got a new thermostat and some high temp silicone. I got a 180 thermostat. Made in Israel? Oh, look at that. I didn't know they made thermostats in Israel. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? Alright, this bolt is nasty from this for this water neck, so I'm gonna see if I have another one. If I don't, I'm gonna have to go to town and get one. And luckily for me, it's already closing time for the store, so I'll have to wait till tomorrow. So that's great. And after we're done with that, then we're gonna hook all that stuff up there and make that look pretty. I also found out that, and we might go ahead and mess with that today instead, but I had this in the forward position. I need to move it back. I don't even know what those are called. It's to hold your Z-bar is what it is. But I need to move it back further. Yeah, I feel right where that goes. So right above the oil filter is where most people have them on a Chevy 350. Because it has more room there. So that's where we're going to put it because of our headers. So I already got the Z-bar kind of sitting in there. And what we'll have to do is there's the black straight piece, like it looks kind of flat like that. It goes down in there and it holds the Z-bar. So we're gonna have to put that in, and the bad thing is it's on this side of the frame, so there's I can't see anything from this angle, so I'm gonna have to go from underneath to try to find out where it goes. And then we can go ahead and get this clutch hooked up. And after the clutch is hooked up, we're going to go ahead and start the engine. And we'll do the first startup. We might wait until the electric fan is purchased, just so that we know that it's not ever going to run hot, because we do not want it to run hot, ever. So we'll go ahead and do all this. Okay, we got it out. Took a little bit of time, but we did get it. Of course, now it's starting to rain out here. We'll put it in the new position and start tightening it, but I think we're going to have to do it from the bottom. If we really want to tighten it, we're going to have to crawl up underneath the car and tighten it like that. And with it raining, I don't want to do that right now. So we'll start it. Alright, you can see where that's at now. And I absolutely need a stubby wrench to tighten it down. There's just no space. I've gotten it about as tight as I can. And I'm going to have to get a new wrench. But that's where it's at. And then this Z-bar will absolutely fit. Alright, here we are. I wanted to show where I had to cut so that this would fit. So, I know everybody says you don't have to cut for these, but I actually had to. I had to cut right there to make space. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put this back down as good as I can, and we'll just weld it back, because it's not even a big issue, really. I mean, we just weld it back after we take our rubber mallet and just kind of hit it in a couple spots, and we'll just tack weld it with our MIG welder. Now, what we want, though, is for all these wires to be out of the way, so we're just going to wait until that. And I had this shirt here to try and keep little animals out, and it seems like it's working. There's our shifter. We got our Hurst shifter in there with the boot on it. It does work. It does sit in there. It's in neutral right now, but it does sit perfect. I checked the range and everything to see if it was going to hit anything. We're good. Now, the only question is it going to be a reach when I'm putting it in reverse? It probably will be a little bit of a reach, but not a big deal. We are not going to run a console. We're just going to run zero console. We'll put the carpet in, and we'll just act like that was never there, because I never see Firebirds with no console anymore. I mean, everybody has a console now, so I'd like to see one that doesn't have one. So that's what we're gonna run. And we know where we're leaking in here. We're leaking right there from the weather stripping, and we're leaking right back there from the glass. That's where we're leaking now. So we need to fix that up, make sure that's not going to occur anymore. And I've got my 10th anniversary, I have spares of these mirrored T-tops. So I put these in here. So these are mirrored T-tops now. So that's fun. Isn't that cool? We're going to go down our list and see what we need to order now. We do have a metal piece that we can order from Summit that will sit on top of this old sheet metal, and we can cut it. We can either cut it out, or we can just sit it there and tack weld it in, which is probably what we'll do. And it will fit perfectly to where the shifter needs to go. Alright, and we're going to do that because we did have to cut that extra away, and I don't want that to be a problem or anything. So we'll just hammer that back down and, you know, make sure it's going to weld up nice. And then I had to turn the steering wheel, you know, to get this lined up. We might go ahead and try to turn this and get it back to straight. But we'll go through our parts list of everything that we need. We do have our brake pedal hooked up. Our clutch pedal is hooked up, but it's not, the little cotter pin is not in it yet. I'm going to have problems with that because when I pushed the rod in there, it wasn't, the hole on it wasn't far enough. So we're going to have issues there. So what I'm going to do is probably take a grinder or something and maybe try to grind a little bit away on the hole so that it can go in and maybe go a little further. I already tried to do this job once, but we hit a little snag. So first, this water neck is slightly, well, it's a lot shorter on where the bolts go than my other one. So the bolts that I had wouldn't work. So I went ahead and got these new bolts. I got grade 8 bolts, even though really don't need them, but we'll use them anyway. Then the adapter for the water sending unit is stripped out, so I couldn't use the new water sending unit that I just bought, so I had to get the adapter as well. Made sure it fit while I was in there, and I got the adapter that's already got the sealant on it. And so we'll go ahead and put that in there, and that'll be one thing that we can go ahead and hook up. I'm thinking if I should put a tiny amount of high temp silicone around the threads. I know this one didn't have any, but I'm thinking I might put just a little bit, just a tiny bit, not a lot, just the tiniest little dollop. So we'll get this on this water neck, and then we also have the bolts for that are going to hold in my my fuse. We also have our new ignition. I bought the wrong one, and I had to get this one because there's two different kinds in 1979. There's the kind that just slides in and is held in by a little screw, and there's this one that's held in by this little piece here that's got a spring on it. The old one, the spring was broken, and this one, the spring works. So we're going to have to put this in and use these keys. So there's that. So then I also have a stock oil sending unit. The oil pressure switch, basically it just slides on in there where the old one went, behind the distributor. And then you hook up right here. You just slide her on in there. And she's done. So there's that. And I had to go with stock because the painless wiring harness that I'm using in the car uses stock stuff for the gauges. So if I want to use the stock gauges, which I do, I have to use this stock piece here and then this stock piece. So I had to take out the stuff that I was using, because I was using aftermarket gauges in that blue Camaro, which is where this engine came from. And since we had to go back to stock, we had to put all the stock stuff back in there. Makes sense. Now, we can go ahead and scrape off. You can see I already got the water neck off. We can go ahead and scrape off all that old housing, that old thermostat and all that old housing, high temp silicone and everything that was on there. Then we're gonna put the new one on with the new thermostat, and then this housing, or this sending unit, and then we'll take out the old oil pressure gauge. There's the old one, right there. Yeah, see, and that's where that'll go. So after that's taken out, we'll put that new one in and get our old carburetor back on. And then once that's on, we can hook up the linkage for that. And then we need to fiddle around with the Z-bar. And the Z-bar for the clutch, I already got it sitting back in there, but it's got a piece that's on this driver's side of the frame, on the outside of it. It's got a piece that bolts up there that's going to be very hard to get on. Then it slides into that, and it goes into this piece back here. Back there, you should be able to see that. And that still needs to be tightened up more than what it is. But I don't have a stubby that would fit that, and it's going to require a stubby. So, I'm going to have to order one. That way, the rest of this linkage can hook up. You see, this here is what goes into your fork. So this here goes into it, and it also connects to the Z-bar. And then this is adjustable, so you can tighten it or loosen it up however much you need. So then it fits in there, and whenever you push the clutch in, it'll push it, because it'll push off the Z-bar. And then one other thing we need is we need to take the spring. So you'll see on that clutch fork, there's a hole for the spring. That hooks up on the frame as well, and there's a ton of bolt holes that we're not using that we can hook that into if we need to. Now, I figured this out by looking at my 10th anniversary right here, because this is a 4-speed car, and the linkage is still in there. So I looked at the linkage, how they had it set up from the factory, and I was able to figure out how to do it the best way. Now it is a little harder because this is a Chevy 350 and that's a Pontiac, and this has got headers. That one will have headers, but it didn't when that was in there. So it's a little harder with headers because sometimes they just completely get in the way. These headers, luckily, there's a little bit of space and we'll be able to run it. So we got our work cut out for us. Then, and that's absolutely all we're doing today, but in the next day or two, we'll get back there and change out that ring and pinion. And that's going to be a tough job. Very time consuming. Probably going to take all day. And then once that's done, we just need a drive shaft and we can technically start it up and drive the car. Even though I want to change out these wheel bearings and these upper and lower control arms need work. Probably change out the shocks for those since I changed the ones in the back. But this will be a very good driver. So that's the whole idea here. Okay, we got that off of there. Got it scraped up pretty good. Now we did drop some dust in there that we should get out. Because we don't want that in there. I have a little vacuum cleaner that I'm going to go get and get that out, and then we'll get all this other dust and acorns and everything out of here. Well, our poor little vacuum cleaner doesn't seem to be working too well. So, we're going to have to do this the hard way. Take some brushes and clean it off that way. And it makes this air gap really hard to clean. But we'll have to get down there with our hand, put a glove on, and just pull it all out that way. First, we did manage to get most of the dust out of that. So that doesn't look too bad now. But we'll go ahead and do what we got to do with this. It works, it's lined up. I was getting an accessory to work too, but now it's kind of working. I'm not ever going to use that though. So everything works and it doesn't come out. So it does what it's supposed to do. So there is that. Probably take these keys. Keys. Okay, there it is. Take these keys and put them with my other keys. Okay, next thing, let's not leave those keys there. I will lose those. Because I'm running an air gap intake, I cannot run the stock oil pressure sending unit. And I'll show you why. The reason why is because this right here raises up. That right there is a raised portion and it will not let the stock unit go in. So we're going to have to run an aftermarket gauge there. I'll just have to go get one and wire it in. See, this is the stock unit. The stock unit won't go in because of this lip piece around here. And that, on the air gap, that just won't go in. So we're going to have to run a aftermarket. Oh my gosh. I got to take that water neck back off. Of course, I forgot to put the dang thermostat in. Are you kidding me right now? Come on. Okay, I got to redo this real quick. I tell you. I don't know how many times I do that. It seems like every time I'm changing a thermostat or changing a water neck, I always forget to put the thermostat back in. So, alright, these are drilled. One was slightly off, so I had to come back and mess with it again. I went ahead and dry fit this. It does fit perfect. We are going to paint this with Rust-Oleum. So we're not going to be finishing it and tightening it down today. So what we'll do is we'll hit it with Rust-Oleum from this side. And then we'll hit it from the other side. So I'll just take like a half a second controlled burst right here, and then a half a second controlled burst right there. And that'll cover it good enough. And I'm not even, since this is drill holes, I'm not going to prime it or anything like that. I'm just going to shoot it with a burst on there. Now next, I'm going to go ahead and put some of these on for that underdash wiring harness. Alright, we tidied this up some. What I did was I zip tied to the back of this heater control panel. There is a piece there that I could put a zip tie through, so that's what I did. And that just holds it all up in there. And then we tied a couple of them together to make it a little better. I left out the connections to the radio, left those separate because we may end up having a fiddle with that. Once that's done and we're done fiddling with it and we know it works, then we'll go ahead and feed this wire, this speaker wire, where it needs to go. And then I did leave out these grounds because I wanted these to be separate, so they are separate. And I found a couple of spots under the dash where I can hook those to. Okay, so I just want to show this. So this is the key to this Summit Racing lock cylinder. And you see this works. This works it. Now, we're going to have a little experiment. In theory, this key shouldn't work. It does. Look at that. Thanks, Summit Racing. So, isn't that awesome? So these keys from these lock cylinders are completely the same. They are the same exact key. Isn't that something? Okay, we pulled this off. I already have an extra fuel filter. But we pulled that off. We do want to take this with us to the store tomorrow. Get a new link here. We need more than that, though. We're going to need... So the way I had to do this is I put it around to there. And then I'm probably going to use this hose here to make it to the carb. What was that? Oh, that was the end of this. A little tie down piece. So, we'll just leave that there. So, this is tied, or this is tightened down. And we'll just go ahead and put something on the end of this and call it good. We'll make sure when we start it up that it's not going to leak or anything like that. So, because it looks like this doesn't even have a lip on it or anything. So, yeah, it doesn't really. So, we'll go ahead and get what we need to make it to the carb. So, unless that's what this is. What is this? Is that what this is? Isn't that what this is? Well, I think that is what that is. I'm so confused right now. Yeah, I think that's it. Huh. This looks fresh, too. I think I just bought this. Is that what I bought this for? Must have been. So we don't have to buy this, because it's right there. So, we have that. Next... Let's see. Next, probably get a new upper radiator hose and probably get a new lower one, because let's look at this lower one. Yeah, it's full of junk. So we'll get a lower one and upper one.